Could you share an overview of how you reached this stage in your career and what inspired you to specialize in your field?
Thank you for the introduction. What a beautiful way to start the conversation. This question allowed me to reflect a little bit about who I am and where I started. So I can safely say I started humbly as a health professional. And there I had this dream of becoming information manager or somebody who uses information that can solve South African problem or country problem or international problem. And at that point, I thought I needed more skill. So I went back to school to study psychology, to study research, to study practical application of data. And that's when I registered for Masters in Organizational Psychology, Economic Psychology, and Research Psychology. And at that point, I realized I had a passion to teach as well. Then I joined the university as a lecturer, both as a lecturer and a researcher. And when
Mm,
I realized I love research, I also loved to ask specific curious questions. For example, why do people pay tax? Why do people behave the way they do? Why do services don't matter for other people than other companies? And that really leapfrogged me to wanting to understand the tax behavior in the country. And hence, I started following economic psychology, behavioral psychology, and behavioral insights and behavioral economics. And then I went to Russia for the study school, where basically we used to do experiments to try to understand why people are not compliant with their taxes or do not want to comply, basically. And that helped me to even request or maybe to move to the tax authority to study tax or to do more research in the tax and compliance perspective. When I got to the organization, I also realized that there is a lot more to compliance than just be paying tax. I also realized that actually we need to provide more services to better compliance. So there's a lot more involved in that perspective. And I also realized that there's an important need for maximization of data in our organization for us to understand only not only qualitative but also quantitative perspective. So that allowed me to study and finish my master's and also study my PhD. But when I did my PhD, I also noticed that organizations are behavioral as well. So behaviors are not only for other people but also organizations. So I also studied organizational behavior to try to understand what makes organization tick, what makes organization perform the way they do, and how can we enhance the performance of such companies. And I now realize, okay, so maybe I can apply my knowledge in a business school. And hence I went and collaborated with business school for us to be able to apply the practical theories that we know to the organizations, but also practical application of the practice to the school or theory. So, and vice versa. So that allowed me to have a bigger spectrum of individual behavior, team behavior, organizational behavior, and also country behavior. So you can imagine wanting to immerse myself in understanding behavior from all levels of the society. And that allows me to have a clearer understanding of what makes the whole system, and I call it a system because it is like a normal cell, behave the way it does. And recently, I just got excited with the technology. As you know, technology is just
yes.
something that is emerging. And I realized I also need to link it to the technology part. What makes us human in the midst of technology? I'll stop there for now.